And good news for Hillary this week, Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Peter, how much do you think this is going to help her?
As much as it possibly could. Look, as a candidate, Biden, excuse me, speaking nice things about Hillary caused me to suddenly get ill there. I apologize. But, Biden was her only real competition on the Democratic side, and about 90% of her competition overall, given how disorganized the Republicans are. Biden could have possibly won the nomination from her, and by him stepping out of the race, all of the people that had been kind of standing on the sidelines are now going in for Hillary. It's as big a gift as she could have expected, and the fact that the Republicans have taken Benghazi as an issue and muddled it even further, man, this is a great week for Hillary.
Eric, what do you think? Do you think that Biden not running actually helps her, or was it going to be a two-way race between her and Sanders anyway?
I don't think Sanders is out of it yet. He's a different candidate, and he appeals to a different target. Speaking of Hillary, I mean, most Americans were tired of hearing about Benghazi. Most Americans are tired about hearing about her emails, and that was reflected in several polls. I think there was one today. I think it was like 8 in 10 Americans are tired of it. Most people have already moved on. The Republicans were just dragging a dead horse because, like Peter was saying, they have nothing this election. There isn't really any juicy details besides the email scandal. Sorry, my dog is biting my feet. Yeah, I think Hillary performed well. I think Sanders is still a candidate. I think Biden leaving the race does help Hillary more than it helps Sanders. But Sanders has been always about slow momentum and building up his campaign over time. It's not something that he's doing overnight. He doesn't have the name recognition that, let's say, Hillary Clinton has.
Right. Well, Republicans like to use the Benghazi keyword. And right now they've pounced on the fact that Bernie defended that he's a socialist at the last Democratic debate. I saw a poll that said only 47% of Americans would vote for a socialist compared to, and that's less than an atheist president, a gay president, anything. Do you think that a socialist can win presidency in a country where socialism is a 4-letter word? Eric?
I think so, because the Cold War is over now. The whole idea that red is bad and communism is something that we have to fear has been dispelled. Sure, Bernie Sanders is a socialist, but I think the socialism that he preaches is a new modern kind. It would be more of a progressive liberalism, which is something that most Western societies should push anyways. Living in the old system where, the American dream and that whole mentality, it doesn't function anymore, unfortunately, and it's time that we give the citizens paid maternity leave. We provide health services. Those things shouldn't be scary words. I live in Canada where we have national health care, and if you asked anybody if they would prefer a system where it's private, they absolutely wouldn't. You have to wait a little longer sometimes, sure, but it's better than paying $30,000, $40,000 for a procedure that you get for free.
Well, Peter, do you think that a socialist can resonate with the majority of Americans despite, the label that he's put on himself?
I think that, Bernie Sanders is what people might call an issue candidate. I don't know that he has a significant chance of taking the nomination away from Hillary, especially after this week. And I can't imagine him in a general campaign surviving the media, surviving the spotlights the way he does. Though certainly a Sanders-Trump campaign would be hilarious and a great boon to any of us who write about politics. Nonetheless, I think Sanders is using this as a terrific opportunity to put some of these so-called socialist ideas out in front of a national audience. He's never had this opportunity before. The label socialist, as Eric correctly pointed out, it really has gotten muddled. Sanders is a classic liberal progressive. I think sometimes he likes to use the label socialist as kind of a bit of a shock tactic, if you will. But, if and when, the time comes, that can be turned against him, absolutely. But I don't think that's going to be necessary. Hillary is in such a position of strength right now that she is going to continue to basically ignore Sanders. We saw in the debate, for example, how she ignored the other three candidates nearly completely, Lincoln Chafee and Martin O'Malley.
So is the rest of the country.
Jim. and so did the rest of the country. But I mean, she didn't even debate them or question them or interact with them. I mean, they weren't even there as far as she's concerned. And I suspect she's going to take that stance increasingly with Bernie Sanders in the hopes that, you know, his campaign will quietly slip away.
Right. Well, on the other side,
an interesting
I'm sorry,
point, if I can cut in. I was going to say, I heard an interesting quote a while back whenever Hillary Clinton started taking stances on issues, that Bernie Sanders got Hillary Clinton becoming liberal again, because for so long Hillary would just stay on the Wade side. She was flippy, floppy, but now she actually takes a stance on something, which is interesting because it's got her actually being active.
Sure. And by an issues candidate, that's the kind of thing I was talking about. I mean, he can influence the debate. He can bring these ideas up. He can nudge Hillary in a particular direction, maybe even nudge the Republicans in some way. And in that sense, he's playing a very valuable role. But in terms of a path between now and the White House for Bernie Sanders, it's pretty difficult to see that.